Hey, welcome to Mikey's Video Game Madness. Today we're playing Super Mario World on the Super Nintendo. Apparently there's this thing now where people are getting a hard time for calling the Super Nintendo the SNES. And they correct themselves saying Super Nintendo or the SNES. Man, internet people sometimes, I just don't know. I don't think people would act like that outside of the internet, but the things that they get hung up on is ridiculous. So today we're playing Super Mario World. I had to check to see if I ever covered this game. I've never covered Super Mario World. I have so many videos on my channel. I can't believe I've never covered this game, let alone the first Mario or the second one. I did cover the third one because that's my favorite one. But let's get this started. Welcome, this is Dinosaur Land. In this strange land, we find that Princess Toadstool is missing again. Looks like Bowser is at it again. Nobody would have guessed that. Why we're in Dinosaur Island is beyond me, but whatever. I feel like there was a cutscene, like with a bunch of Yoshis that I was supposed to see, but it didn't. But that's fine, because I hate that part. I haven't played this game in a long time. So, I was spending the night at my grandmother's house, and for whatever reason, I liked it there better. I didn't want to go home. Hooray! Thank you for rescuing me. My name is Yoshi. On my way to rescue my friends, Bowser trapped me in that egg. For the longest time, I thought Yoshi was just one character, but apparently Yoshi is just what Yoshi is. Which is really weird, because on Mario Kart you pick Yoshi, but maybe you're picking a Yoshi. So, like, you have to understand Yoshi's Island was, like, super confusing to me. So yeah, anyway, I wanted to stay at my grandmother's house, and my father was picking me up. Which I guess he usually does, because it was his mother's house, and I didn't want to go home. I was going to try to do that little hover thing that Yoshi does on Yoshi's Island, where you double tap the jump button, and he does this little weird kicking his feet in midair thing. If you didn't know already, if you've never played this game before, when you get a Yoshi egg, when you already have a Yoshi, it turns into a 1-up, so that's a good thing. So my dad was trying to pick me up, and they're like, "We got a surprise for you." I was like, what? I was a little kid then. And, you know, even at that age, I guess this was 1992, I would say. 'Cause I didn't... We were broke. Like, my dad actually worked for Nintendo, or at least he was certified for Nintendo, so his company, I don't know. He didn't work for Nintendo because I worked for other things, but they were certified for Nintendo, so they got special, like, videos and stuff to show you what was coming out, and sometimes they'd get the head up. I think I met one of the presidents or somebody who was in charge of Nintendo one time from his work. And I remember my dad's boss's son was, like, asking him about what the Ultra 64, which would eventually end up becoming the Nintendo 64, which I remember seeing the VHS tape, and it was showing, like, silicon graphics, and it was gonna look like this, like, Toy Story quality graphics, and then the Nintendo 64 ended up becoming this super blurry mess. And even when it came out, I was like, I wanted it still. That's because it was the new thing, I guess. I think at that point the Sega Saturn wasn't doing well, so its only competition was, like, the PlayStation. But even then, I realized that the Nintendo 64 was like super blurry, and it really bothered me. It bothers me way much worse now, to the point where I'm not sure if I could play like a Nintendo 64 game, or at least one of the blurrier ones. Some of the games aren't as blurry. I feel like Conker's Bad Fur Day looked pretty clear. And that some of the games that use that 4 megabyte RAM patch, didn't look all that blurry. Sorry, I was really concentrating there. The past few videos I've been actually playing while recording the commentary, which is why it's more spacey. But I guess it's more reactionary too, or if that's even a word. Reactionary. So I'm running on 3 brain cells. Like, my vocabulary is stunning and everything when I'm playing a game. So in some ways, I like that I could put out a video faster if I record the commentary while I'm playing the game. And other ways, I like the fact that I can just kind of zone out when I'm recording the commentary afterwards, but it's not as reactionary. And a lot of times when I'm talking about memories and stuff that are completely unrelated, those are usually videos that I'm recording after the gameplay, not during. Let me know which ones you enjoy more. The few of you that watch this, if you don't mind. You don't have to. You're not obligated to. It's whatever. Maybe you like the variety of having both. But anyway, so they're like, we have a surprise for you. I'm going way back into the commentary. And I was like, okay, whatever. It's not like I really had a choice. I had to go home anyway. So I like leave the room and come back into it after a while, and I just hear this music that I never heard before, but it sounded really good. It sounded better than what my Nintendo Entertainment System could produce, or the NES, or to piss people off, the NES. But I mean, I've heard good video game music before, because at that time the arcades sounded better than the NES. So, it's weird. I'm not saying I'm psychic or anything, but a thought did come into my mind that my dad had a surprise. I don't know why I automatically thought about the Super Nintendo. Something I didn't really know anything about, because like I said, even though my dad was certified by Nintendo, we didn't get like Nintendo Power like in the mail. Like, he would bring the issues home sometimes. And I rarely got a video game magazine unless it was like my birthday or something, or somebody somewhere else had one and they let me read it. But kids are assholes most of the time. They keep shit to themselves, but I mean, for good reason. Kids usually destroy each other's shit. I was really good about taking care of stuff. But every once in a while, I would be able to read a Nintendo Power magazine. The only reason why I saw what Super Nintendo was, and I was too young to know anything really about it. It's only like, I can't remember if I was 7 or 8 when this all occurred. But I remember seeing it in the Christmas catalog, which this was pre-internet. You would, I'm sure you've seen other people's videos covering videos about the Sears and JCPenney's toy catalog. I think JCPenney's was the thicker one. I can't remember. But it was a catalog that you would keep for Christmas. Nobody would go to those stores. Like, the prices were way more expensive than they were like at another store. So it would just give you an idea. And I remember seeing, I think it was this level actually, Mario and Yoshi, and I was like, what is a Super Nintendo? probably said it more childlike because I was only like 7 or 8. But a good reader because I was able to read out Super Nintendo. And I didn't really notice the graphics being better. Because back then, I don't know, graphics didn't mean anything. There's certain games that looked a lot better. I remember playing Prince of Persia on the Macintosh. Some slowdown there. Alright, we're just gonna have to wing it. I'm playing this on the Super Nintendo Classic. That might be why there's some slowdown. Or there was an original game. I don't love this game as much as the other people. But I remember roughly, it must have been early in the year, because I'll get to why I know this later in the story. But anyway, I saw the game and the catalog, and I was like, I don't know what this is, but I want it because it had Super in front of it. It must be better than a regular Nintendo. I didn't know if it played Nintendo games or anything, and then I saw some commercials showing the game. But I remember seeing Prince of Persia. That looked way better. I don't know why I was obsessed with Prince of Persia, but it just looked way better than the one on the Apple, at least to me. It was a different game too. Like, the level layout was different. I think the Sega Genesis one was closer, and the Sega CD one. That's the one. Actually, I think I played the Super Nintendo one more. Ironically, at a friend's house. I was over there way too much. But this was kind of cool. There's like all these little things Mario could do that he couldn't do in the other games. I don't know. I just think I like Mario 3 more because it has these weird power-ups. It just, I don't know. It feels more creative. Maybe gameplay-wise, this is a better game, but I don't know. Mario 3 always surprised me with each new world, where this kind of is just like samey. Like, after like you see like some of the stuff like the game can do, it's just like, okay, I get it. Or like Mario 3, I think Mario 3 starts to screw up during its last few levels with creativity, like maybe starting World 6 or 7, like it just gets super hard. Oh shit. But this game kind of like shows you all its cards basically during the first world. Or at least that's how I feel. But maybe like gameplay wise it's more solid. It's a lot easier than the later parts of Mario 3. Like when I actually got to own this game, I could watch, I'll die now after saying all this. I could actually beat it. Give me that. I should have held the run button. Look, see, I died because I'm talking. That would never happen if I wasn't talking. That's my story. I'm sticking by it. But I don't know. I just felt like Mario 3 was like a more creative game. But anyway, so my dad had this hooked up, and I just remember hearing the music and it sounded way better. And once I saw it in motion, it looked better. But there's certain things that stuck with me, like the stereo sound that really blew my mind. Like, I think this might be a Mandela try to affect me. I'm gonna die this time too on the first freaking boss. There, I did it. I didn't believe in myself, but hopefully one of you did. But the thing that stood out to me more is the music. That little rotating thing was kind of cool. Mario grabbing the gate, but the graphics, I don't know. that didn't really blow my mind until like I went to the store. And I remember the first time I felt like I needed a Super Nintendo was when I saw Super Castlevania 4. I saw the back of it. I don't know why or how, but when I looked at the back of that box, it looked photorealistic. And obviously the game doesn't look anywhere near photorealistic, but I don't know, as a kid it did. Like, I didn't get to play games till later. Like, I probably played Castlevania 3 around the same time I played the Super Nintendo. And that game, like, had what I thought at the time was, like, the best graphics. I don't know, you always, like, at least at 7 or 9, or I shouldn't say you. I think it's just me. I just think I'm a weird dude. I never took arcade graphics into consideration until, like, Mortal Kombat 2 came out, and the first one, and 3, and I realized that, the port of the Sega Genesis looked crappy compared to the arcade game. Like, arcade game looked so good, and then I would get the home port. Like, I love the home ports, and I played them to death, but they just lack the huge character sprites and the color and the sound and everything else. But that's neither here nor there. Back to Mario. So, yeah, so when I saw a picture of Super Castlevania 4, that's when I really wanted Super Nintendo, so I'm going all over the place in this story. So, the next day, my dad's like, I'm gonna go chop some firewood. Want to help me? And for some reason, I got really ballsy. I just wanted to play the Super Nintendo. I was like, no, not really. Or however I said it at that age. And he's like, fine. And he's like, I'll just take the Super Nintendo with me. And he took a bag, he rolled up the controllers and the system's wires, and put it in a bag. And I didn't get to play the Super Nintendo until maybe like 2 or 3 years later. I remember I was trying to make a sad face, like that would ever work with my father. Thinking that like he would give in. That was not the case. I remember I missed the bus or something, and he had to like drive me to school. And I thought he was just teasing me, like having it in the bag, but nope, he was bringing it back to work. He didn't even play it himself, and he played it quite a bit, so he was really trying to make a point. For whatever reason, a 9-year-old kid not wanting to... Oh, I just died because I was talking about my story, but that's kind of how I felt. Ironically, I feel like he took it right around the time I was at this level, too. I didn't get to see much of the game during that point. But I just remember looking at the back of the boxes for a long time. And I wanted a Super Nintendo, but like I said, I would get like games like way after they were new. So most of it was through looking at it through magazines and TV commercials on the back of boxes at the rental store. But yeah, I remember seeing Castlevania and seeing it photorealistic, and I remember this dude, like I had a babysitter, and they would go and play basketball. Don't tell me I'm stuck again. Shit. This would never happen if I wasn't telling this long ass story. And I remember this guy explaining Super Mario World. This was even before, like, my dad brought the Super Nintendo home, because he was describing, like, the giant bullet bills and like how you had to like duck under them or jump on them or something. I don't know. We got hit. It just took them by surprise. Because, I don't know, technical stuff like that didn't really pop in your head that much, but you knew you never saw like any enemies that big like playing the NES. And that's most of what we had is the NES. I had like an NES and a Game Boy, which my NES and a Game Boy and probably the PlayStation 1 are the systems I have like most love for. And I'm talking about the OG original gangster green Game Boy. I love that thing, and it got support for such a long time. That was such a great system. I'll never love a handheld as much as I loved that thing. So when I finally got a chance to get a Super Nintendo, right before, I guess, Christmas, maybe it was the year of Christmas, I don't know. This is going way back, like, when I'm like 9, I'm 34, so you'll have to forgive me if I don't remember exactly. But I remember playing, like, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, was super obsessed with X-Men. Super Nintendo didn't have a X-Men game at that time, and I don't know, I just wanted something different. I remember I was starting to hang out with this old best friend I used to live with, like, I was really, really young, like, I'm talking like 3 to 4 years old, possibly 5, and, I don't know, my dad, like, started to talk to his dad again, so we started hanging out again, and, he had a Sega Genesis, and it was different. That's why I wanted it, because it was different. Sonic was so different than Mario, and I played the shit out of Mario 3. And I wanted a Sega Genesis. Am I gonna get a star at any point? I don't even know what I'm doing because I'm talking. Well, that's better than nothing, I guess. So I ended up getting a Sega Genesis, and thank goodness they got Castlevania Bloodlines, which this is probably another unpopular opinion. I like Castlevania Bloodlines more than I do Super Castlevania 4. It's super close which ones I like more, but I have to get the edge to Castlevania 4. Nostalgia might play a factor in it. I think I like the Sega Genesis more than the Super Nintendo, but not for first party games, except maybe for Streets of Rage and Sonic. I thought that Konami was killing it on the Sega Genesis. Capcom was. The Disney games were really good, like Aladdin. Although Capcom's Aladdin was really good on Super Nintendo, but not. I don't know. I think Capcom's Aladdin was a better game. It just wasn't as pretty. I feel like that game got really difficult. I need to hit that block instead of just doing the same damn thing over and over again like an idiot. It's so funny how Mario can grab everything now. Will this buy me more time? It's been so long I forgot what to do. I feel so old. Oh, I got it. That was kind of a waste of a level. We'll just trick them. We'll put the door all the way up there. It's been a long time since I played this. Like I said, I had to check to see if I even played it on a video before. But I didn't get a Super Nintendo until the Sega Genesis came out. But yeah, it just sucks because when you get a like a Genesis collection, like most of the games on there are like duds, and they're like not even adding like Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles, and when they do have Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles, they don't have the combined cartridge, so you don't even get the full game of Sonic and Knuckles. That's like one of the best games on there. And you don't get like some of the best Sega Genesis games. Like you won't get Aladdin. You won't get Castlevania Bloodlines. Rocket Knight. I think Sparkster was called the sequel. You get some of Treasure's games, which is cool. But like, I don't care about like Altered Beasts. You don't even get the ports of Outrun. You get all these games that I don't want to play, like that helicopter game. Was it like Thunderblade and Space Harrier 2, which is you'll get like Chase HQ, like the EA like Genesis games like Road Rash and stuff like that. That's what, in my opinion, made the Genesis / Mega Drive like so good. Now the NES, I feel like the Super NES didn't feel like it had the variety of the Sega Genesis, but I feel like it had better games overall, like in quality. There's a lot of trash games on, both systems had trash games, but I feel like the first party content on the Super Nintendo was just way better, and they had Square, and the graphics were obviously better. And despite what anybody thinks, even though Donkey Kong is remembered for its like pre-rendered graphics or whatever, I think it was just a really good game, which is why I like Donkey Kong Country Returns and Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. They're really good games that have like a lot of hidden stuff. They're really fun. It had, in my opinion, better RPGs. Besides Sonic, the platformers of the first party were better. It's a shame that Nintendo doesn't release some sort of collection like they do with the Genesis, but I don't know. Even when you get that online service on the Switch, like most of the games that they have available are games that I don't necessarily ever want to play. Wish Konami would release like a greatest hits version of their games. If they're not going to make games, make a Konami collection. Do what SNK does. And the Taito collection, that was like one of the best compilations in the Capcom one, but do it with consoles. Like, it's pretty cool with the SNK collection. With the arcade games, it's on PlayStation 4 now. I wish I would have known that was originally going to come on PlayStation 4. But I guess it's a pretty good portable game. I just like the PlayStation 4 controller. I don't know. I'm biased. I really want to get into playing the Switch more. But I definitely have more nostalgia for the Sega Genesis, but I had it longer than the Super Nintendo. But like I said, it's not the first party Sega Genesis games that I'm in love with. Nintendo had a good mixture of both. Like, even their freaking Batman games were awesome. Genesis had the it was impressive graphically, Batman the Animated Series game, but the game was, at least for me, it was like way too hard. And yeah, their first Mortal Kombat had blood in it, but they got like a superior version of Mortal Kombat 2, which was like the best. I like ran right into that, which was like the best console version at the time, at least that I knew about. But anyway, I'm going to stop here. This is Super Mario World. I'm sure you've all played it before. I just figured I'd give my take on it. I'm mostly just telling nostalgic stories instead of actually playing the game, or even playing it well for that matter. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the journey of going through Donut Plains as much as I have. I hope you're all doing well. Thank you so much, and take care. Alright, bye.
If you want to, like, comment, and subscribe! Thanks for watching!